Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahawashi, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahawashi, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahawashi. Call Layam La Yahweh Bashem, Yahawashi, Bashem Chakadash. Double honors, much love and respect to those and apostles over all of Yasharala, bottom that great millstone and nowhere else. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, laboring in his ministry in truth and sincerity with much faith and love, as well as to you, Akwafim, and children of Yasharala, following the spirit and guidance of Yahweh while Yahweh Shai. So, betrayal is the primary word of this lesson. It's something crucial to our learning curve because we have went through a lot of stages. You know, those of us who are walking according to our heritage and according to the absolute truth of all things. Once the Lord finally sits you down and starts feeding you more wisdom, knowledge, and you have been granted the ability to understand further in this truth, the Lord is going to allow you to experience more things. Something me and a particular brother were speaking about was a wise quote, and it was based off the 3 methods of obtaining wisdom. You know, one of them, the first one, okay, I remember. The first method was, the first one and the noblest of them. Hold on, what was it? I remember the second and the third. What was the first one? Oh, Salat. I forgot to quote myself. And honestly, I don't know. There you go. The first one and the noblest one, or the noblest of them, is reflection. There you go. As we begin to embark on this journey that the Lord calls us to, the ultimate, the fundamental goal is to attain wisdom. And the most comfortable, well, I'm not even going to say most comfortable because every man is different, but the most suitable way of obtaining wisdom or working and enveloping it into your spirit is through reflection. Every day waking up and analyzing yourself, analyzing your thoughts, your thought processes, your traits, your demeanor, your manner, the way you're conducting yourself after receiving the Chakadash. You know, once you get the name, there's no going back. So you have to have the discipline of reflection in order to continue, if anything, to continue on that upright path. Reflection is a must. The second method, which is the easiest, is imitation. We have many honorable and great men within our nation and our history that we inspire, that we get inspiration from. You know, we have men who are walking amongst this earth right now who are honorable and is inspirational, and you will want to imitate that honorable greatness. And it's a wise thing to want and to desire that. However, it being the easiest form, it can be corrupted just as easy as it is to desire to imitate it. Because imitation isn't a true form in itself. Anything that's imitation is a imitation can always be manipulated. It's not like I just said, and actually that was the best and easiest way to put it. Imitation can easily be corrupted just because you see something in somebody that doesn't give you or just because you see a great quality in somebody and you try to imitate, or in other words mimic, doesn't necessarily make you of that same great character or trait. It's impossible without actually understanding the meaning behind that trait. And the third method, which is the bitterest of them all, is experience. Having to experience these, I'll say it like this. What makes this journey hard for each and last every man that sincerely claims to be walking along this great path that is only given to the people of our heritage, is the experience of going through it. Because when you're going through it, there's so much that you don't know. There's so much that you still lack. And there will always be something lacking until the very end, until that very day when the Lord finally looks at you and you have to prove yourself in front of Him. And if you're not strong enough to contain, hone, and harness the experiences that the Lord places in front of you, it's either going to make you stronger or it's going to corrupt you and you're going to fall away. Now, in the beginning I mentioned the word betrayal. That in itself is a experience that I understand why men such as Yahawashi had to go through. Because you have to, you can't go walking in this world believing everybody is your friend. You can't go in this world believing that every man is your brother. You gotta have that solid. You have to have a solid sense of integrity to understand and to escape particular individuals in certain situations. Because prior to that, because I will use a well example such as this. A man that goes into a town and he spends years in this town. Prior to, he has not known that sense of betrayal. He goes into this town, he finds people he can love and people that he desires to care for. But within the final moments of that time, the spirit of that town changes, and they turn on him for reasons that don't matter. Just the fact that just so that the example can be made. That man now has to deal with a tremendous amount of loss. Because once he's ran out of that town by everyone that he thought he cared and loved for, he has a new life that's been created for him. This experience, this bitterness, has nothing. It can only make this individual into the true character and the true person that he's going to become. Because once you deal with betrayal, like for example, King David and King Saul. King David loved King Saul. There's infinite amount of truth and facts that shows that no matter how evil and conniving and deceptive and wicked King Saul was towards King David, there was nothing flawed in Malak Dawad's integrity that made him belittle himself in dealing with that betrayal. You know, it's most definitely it's most definitely a period of time when you know you're in a furnace. You're in the furnace because now you have to go back through those other the processes that I had spoken about. The best one to use is reflection. Because now you have to look at inside of yourself. You know, you have to literally sit down, stop doing whatever you're doing, and think and look at yourself like, okay, this, that, and the third had happened to me. What is it that I'm going to take from this? What is it from this situation that can make me stronger? Because if you look at the average individual on this earth, if they was to go through an act of betrayal, 9 times out of 10 they're going to get corrupted. Their hearts and their spirits is darkened to the point where they themselves have changed on the opposite side, and they go down this dark path, whether it leads to murder, whether it leads to becoming a betrayer themselves. There's many things that can happen from betrayal. But what ultimately happens, you see a person's true character at the end. You see a person's true nature. Whether it's the person that's been betrayed, or the person that has done the betraying, or the person that's been betrayed. The end of that type of affliction and that trial is the showing of someone's true inner being and who they are and what they stand by. You know, Yahawashi, wasn't he not betrayed? Wasn't he betrayed of our whole nation, basically? The 2/3 of our nation? Hell, didn't Peter betray the Lord himself when he denied him thrice? Like, and though that's a smaller action in comparison to the 2/3, it's still an act of betrayal. It shows somebody's character. It showed Peter's vulnerability and weakness in faith, which he redeemed himself and got stronger in the faith. But I see betrayal as a must-need boost in somebody's character, whether it be for the good or for the worse. Now, touching on the word betrayal, there's so many different words that is similar and can be used and replaced, such as treachery, disloyalty, bad faith. And if you claim to be of the house of David, do not be surprised. Don't be surprised. But do have that part of you, have that thought and that word upon your meditation, because the servant is no greater than the master. We all have to suffer the things that the Lord suffered. Was not the apostles betrayed? The apostles from old and the apostles that live now? Haven't we seen terrible acts of betrayal just amongst our people on a year-to-year basis? I perceive that betrayal is a necessary evil when it comes to the Lord making a man greater. Because now you're in a position where you have to use all the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you have been endowed with thus far. And this is your chance to show how much do you truly understand. Are you a wise judge? Can you really discern the matter? Can you really discern yourself in the matter? You know, are you taking the time to question yourself? Are you taking the time? And it's a lot of things that goes in the midst of this. You know, when you think about Job, Job felt betrayed. Hold on. This is let's see. I mean, but you got, man. Salakia. Let me grab this in Matthew's real quick. This is Matthew's. '24. Matthew's 24:9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. You know, we have to experience these things. We have to endure and suffer these things. Why? Because of many reasons. This is how we sharpen ourselves. Going through these things that we can perceive to be evil or wicked, experience that situation and come out wiser and more upright. That in itself is a paradoxical twist of a blessing. Because who really wants to go through that? Who really wants to suffer that type of loss? You know, think about it. When you first came into the truth, most of the time when Jake hears the word and hears the name and accepts it for face value and goes out to try to push out that same type of energy that he received, first it starts with family and friends. But most of the time they don't receive. And then when you don't receive that same energy back, don't you feel betrayed? Don't you feel lost? You know, I personally on my behalf, on my side of this testimony, when I first came to the truth, one of the first things that I did I wasn't necessarily trying to teach my family up frontly and directly, but because they kept approaching me and was vexing me, I began to talk, and I began to prove scriptures. But that stirred up their spirits, and they were against me for that, thinking that I was trying to show myself to be of some stature, when all I really wanted was peace of mind. And I was kicked out. I was kicked out of my family's household. And though this was not the first time I had to experience that type of situation, this was the first account of me coming into the truth and seeing betrayal from my own house. But it made me stronger. It made me cleave to the Lord more. It made me feel like if I lose everything that I have come to know prior to the Lord, I will count it loss so that I may gain my shayak more. And that should be the same spirit and energy and frequency that every last individual Israelite man who is sincerely striving to be one with Yahweh and Yahawashi, that should be the same force that should be backing you up every day. It isn't just the heathens. The heathens can't betray you because you already know that they're your enemies. That betrayal has to come from within our house. You know, and I'm not just talking about our family, I'm talking about our nation. Think about it. Don't you feel betrayed just looking at our people? And if you can perceive that, take it a step further to show how much reflection that you're truly giving, and how much wisdom and knowledge that you truly have, and understanding. How do you think Yahweh feels looking at this people? It's betrayal. Our people have betrayed the Most High in every form of imagination. Betrayal would be a word that can simplify the whole matter. And simplify his justification for taking out 2/3. Just off that one word. Now, however, with betrayal, the outcome, if you're of an upright heart, would strengthen you. It will harden you to the point where not that you can't trust no more, but that you know and you can understand more scriptures that speaks on such a matter. You know, you can articulate the understanding of scriptures such as give unto the godly and not unto the sinner. And many other scriptures, but I don't want to drag this out too long. With everything that's been happening in 2020, it would be wise for each and last one of us to begin to really envelop the warnings and the things that Yahawashi said according to prophecy that will happen unto us. Because I know for a fact, as the years progress after receiving the name, it took quite a few years before I can truly feel the words Yahawashi said. I can see it, I can understand it, but it's hard to feel without having that experience. And without that feeling, you can't connect with the Lord. It's harder to claim that you are one with the Lord without experience some of the emotions and some of the hardening situations that Yahawashi was in, the hardening situations that the prophets have been in, the hardening situations that every last honorable and great spirit of our people had been through, and was able to hone their integrity and sharpen it to the point where their faith was indestructibly solid. Because we're not, Yahawashi has not established his kingdom on earth yet. So in the midst of all in the midst of the rest of the prophecies that are manifesting of this year, the prophecies of persecution and what is it states in Second Ezra? Time of persecution. The grind. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me just grab it. What's that? Second Ezra 15. Second Ezra 15. Yep, here we go. Second Ezra 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard kings or princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, cities shall be destroyed. The houses shall be destroyed. Or Salat, because of their pride, cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. Now, the point was really in 19. A man shall not have no pity upon his neighbor. It's time to start keeping precepts like that towards the front of our mind. You know, starting off when you come into the truth. Scriptures such as that stay towards the back because you're still trying to learn about the Lord. You're still trying to learn about our heritage. The things that you're learning isn't forcing you to experience such words as of yet, because your faith isn't strong enough, your character isn't strong enough yet. But it will come a point where you're going to have to witness and or be a part of that situation of betrayal, that treachery, the experiencing, what is it, experiencing the ways of a traitor. Judas Iscariot. Didn't they also say Simon the Canaanite? You know, we have a grave and tremendous responsibility, and it requires strong characters. It requires strong men. And without these experiences, how can we be these great, noble, royal priests? These royal, saintly kings. We can't without having those things being embedded in us. So, Always remember, we are given wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so that we may be able to judge properly. And if you're not taking the time to reflect, because when we come into the truth, it's mainly it's repetition and imitation. Without reflection and experience, you don't grow that potential character that the Lord can for speaking or saying this from a man's point of view, you cannot grow into this character that you can possibly be, this great noble character that you can possibly be, without having reflection and experience within the imitations that we are doing, as far as imitating Yahawashi, the prophets, King David, all these traits and characteristics that we inspire to one day achieve. We can't do just off of imitation. We have to go through a continuous amount of reflection. But with the reflection comes the time where we have to experience, so that our story and our testimony can prove if we're of those same honorable and great feats and traits within our own character. So, like I said, be very mindful of the things Yahawashi has spoken unto us, especially the things that pertains to these last days. Be mindful of everything that's written in the scripture that pertains to what we need to be aware of. It isn't like the Lord left us oblivious of the things that are going to happen in our lives. He made it plain and clear, and he had it to where it's written and read. So, with that, I said my words. I believe that's good enough. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hey, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, call Layim like Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem Chakadash. Double honors, much love and respect to those and apostles who rule well over all of Yasharala. We know where they be. Blessings and salutations to you, Akim. Laboring in his ministry in truth and sincerity, with much love and faith, conducting yourself as the children of light, as well as to you, Akwafim and children of Yasharala, found at the spirit and guidance of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi. That I say, Awad Ba Come, stay in wisdom, Abba Baba, Shalom.